Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. We're going to head out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline to begin hour number 2. That's where we'll find Michael Cauble of WBRZ. Mr. Cauble, how are you?
Doing well, Hunt. How are you doing?
I am quite well. You've been out there a couple times watching a little football. Any overriding theme that you've seen, or just another fall camp cranking up?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the overriding theme so far. Is just that it's early. Everybody looks good. Everybody looks big. Everybody looks fast, right? So early, everybody's undefeated. No, I mean, I will say, it was a little bit of a heat check yesterday watching the secondary get torched.
Yeah.
That was definitely a little surprising with the degree to which it was, and so I asked BK about that, and he said that's kind of just the way it goes with those drills. And it was true, because when they got into more team kind of drills, the secondary, I won't say held their own, but they certainly improved. So that was definitely somewhat surprising, though, yesterday. Other than that, I would just say kind of the general theme of, it makes a lot of sense that LSU's getting a lot of love right now. They look the part.
And for those that are driving and listening to us going, wait, the secondary's getting torched? I'll put a little context, as Cauble said, that Brian Kelly said. It was one-on-ones with no defense, and the quarterback had no pass rush, and it's just one-on-one, and they're running slants and stuff, and the DBs were just getting worked. It was like an 85% catch.
It might have been higher than that. The only things that were non-catches were drops. But I mean, they were just getting smoked off the line. And yeah, I mean, you could certainly see why LSU, likes their slot receivers and has a lot of confidence in them. But tight ends, I mean, second string, third string tight ends were giving them work. It was a sight to behold, and it was just like, maybe these 12-win seasons might need to pump the brakes a little bit. But it's early, and that's the point, I guess, that we're making. Is some people are figuring it out. Some people already have it figured out. Luckily for LSU, I think there's a lot more in the figured out column than figuring it out.
I realize we got to put the cameras away after 15 minutes, which is y'all's the main thing that you've got. But do you feel like you're able to provide a little bit more in your sportscast because of the access Brian Kelly is giving?
Absolutely, and I think it was one of the issues that Ed Ogeron suffered from, really, and probably every coach. There is this expectations that come along with every new season, in that everybody's great. They all know what they're doing, and this team's going to go undefeated. But when you get to watch a full practice, you understand that there's some things they need to work on. There's some deficiencies, some areas, just some general putting it together of how this is supposed to operate, where everyone's supposed to line up. You see a lot more of those issues. And so it kind of pulls you back down to earth a little bit more. So while I don't necessarily think we learn anything different or new by watching a full practice, it gives you a lot more context to what you kind of see. And I think that's important when you build that overall picture of how good can this team be.
In your time here in Baton Rouge, you've covered Jacob Hester, and you've covered Charles Scott, and you've covered Leonard Fournette and Darius Geis and Jeremy Hill, and pro running backs that have been out there. In this year's team, I think the first guy to get a carry in Florida State is going to be Josh Williams. What do you make of his story?
I think that there's a lot to be said about guys like Josh Williams and their importance to every team. We saw it with the baseball team this year. LSU needs Gavin Dugas, Cauble on their team. They need Josh Williams. They need guys that understand the importance of working for everything they get. And I think that is a guy that exemplifies that. And I think it's important and useful when coaches hold guys like that up as the standard and the expectations for everyone else. And I also think it's important when you reward them with first touches. It may be ceremonial, but I don't give a crap, because it sets the tone and lets everybody understand this is important in this program. And not to say that people like that are not talented, because they wouldn't be where they are without talent. But they are also, spotlighted because they have talent, they have integrity, they have grit, they have character, they have all of the things that make hard work pay off. And I think they're shining examples of everything that's great about college sports.
Would you place your first nickel on him to be number 18?
uh, I hadn't really thought about it. I think you could certainly do worse than that. It would probably be a safe bet. But it's funny. I hadn't thought about the 18 yet. I don't know. I don't know. Do you have any other front runners that you could?
Major Burns has been around now for a year plus, and he's kind of the captain of the secondary.
You think Omar Speight has a shot? I mean, they really like him, and everything he's done certainly seems to be the right way of doing things. So, is he too new? Does it have to be a Louisiana guy? I don't know.
I don't know either. Let's fast forward to January, and you'll have to kind of fill in the blanks between here and there.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, how do you think Jayden Daniels' legacy is going to look when he's done at LSU, when you stack him up with the quarterbacks we've seen over the last 20 years?
It's just so nuts because there's a path, right? You just see this path where he can certainly be in New York City. He could hear his name called, right? And I think that's the thing is like he's got the experience, he's got the exposure, he's got the opportunity with the way that this schedule sets up, that if his team has success, and he's a big reason why, and we don't have a big reason to not think he would be, but yeah, he is right up there. He's a top 5 pick. He's a Heisman finalist, could be a Heisman winner. And it's just nuts when you think back to last year, and how quickly things can change. But we saw it with Paul Skeens this year, right? I mean, why not? Alignment, and the stars aligning and everything working out in their favor. I mean, it can happen. And so as far as his legacy, he has really untapped potential to solidify that. And, it's not going to be Joe Burrow-esque, right? It's hard when the mountaintop is in your own backyard, but I certainly think he could do stupendous things for himself and this university.
August is for us to opine on what we'd love to see or what changes we'd like to make from last year. And every year we'd talk about Les's team. Well, maybe this is the year they got these receivers. They might be able to get the passing game going. They might get it to the tight end. Inevitably, it just kind of looked the same. Although they never promised anything different in the Les era. We've heard Brian Kelly multiple times say, yeah, Jayden's got to throw it down the field a little bit more. Do you expect Jayden to throw it down the field a little bit more?
Man, that floored me last year, right? Because what coach, you just joked about how long I've been doing this. I never hear him say, you got to put the ball in danger.
Yeah.
Come on, son, let it rip. You may think it and you may want it, but then to have the head man actually vocalize or verbalize, take your pick. To put that out there was something. And so, yeah, I do think you're going to see it. And I think it makes a lot of sense as to why we should expect it, right? I mean, think about Jayden, third offensive coordinator in 3 years, I think, for him last year. New team, trying to just play his part, do his role, new offensive line, ball security being an issue, something that we talked about, rewind the clock to what, May or whatever it was of last preseason. And isn't that what we were talking about? His penchant for turning the ball over at Arizona State and really not being, as accurate, right? The accuracy issues were the big hammer point, I guess, with Jayden before he ever got to campus and started throwing a ball for the LSU Tigers. So, it made a lot of sense. But now I think the comfort level that he has, the skill that he has around him, at different levels of the receiving tree, I think it does open it up for him. Now, can the line protect? You're going to have a good test right out of the gates, but I think the schedule also built in a way that allows them to be more aggressive. And I think he will be because his comfort level's higher too.
What do you have coming up on Channel 2?
Man, I'm going to talk a little bit about the receivers, a little bit about what we talked about early in this segment, just for the receivers cooking the DBs, and then the running back room. Just, a lot of different options, right? Certainly it was striking to see, 2 running backs at spring practice.
Yeah.
Well, that is not the case now. They certainly have the depth that they lacked, and how do they get them all involved? I think is going to be the big question. And who emerges and kind of who plays second fiddle. So there's a lot of different weapons, from the tight ends, even the freshman tight ends, looking impressive. I think those receivers are legit. I think you've got some skill there. It helps having the offensive line return. Hunt, here's something that we don't talk about at all. Is just both coordinators are back.
Yeah.
And
Finally.
that might be a bigger issue than any of us are making out to be.
First time since 19, and they added Brady that year, but Ensminger was still the OC. So it's been a minute since they were able to retain both coordinators. Something to be said for continuity for sure. Cauble, thanks so much.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.